guys, my name is Itimi and you're welcome once again to my YouTube channel. This is Founders Connect show. Here I have conversations with amazing entrepreneurs and operators in Africa. Today I'll be having a conversation with an OG founder, one of the people that literally built our industry. He's Chimezie Emewulu. He's the founder and CEO of SeamFix and he has done this for 15 years. Think about it, where were you 15 years ago? Anyway, I'm going to learn about him and his journey and the company he has been building for a very long time. So make sure you stay and watch this video to the end. I'll see you.
Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Itimi, a change maker, professional, and creative who is passionate about growing people and growing businesses. Like, comment, subscribe to my channel, and please always share my videos. It promises to always be impactful and insightful.
Chimezie, how you doing? Thank you so much for making this. Just coming and sitting with me. It was a pleasure and an honor to be sitting with you. I'm very excited to really have this conversation. So
thank you. I'm honored.
Amazing. Okay, so tell me, I like to start my interviews like a background story about the founder before we start talking about the business, right, and how you built it. Like, what's your background story? Where did you grow up? Where are you from? What schools did you attend? What do you remember most about your childhood? Just anything you can tell us about your background.
I think the heaven just opened and dropped me down on earth. Then I found the company. Have you ever heard that kind of story?
No.
Maybe it is the first. Anyway, my story is just the same regular story. I grew up, I was born in Nsukka, in UNN actually. So I grew up in the university environment, primary, secondary school, university, everything was in UNN. When I finally graduated, that was the first time I actually got to leave Nsukka and travel far away, you know, all the way to Lagos. Came from a very humble background. My mom used to work in the university, now she's retired. My dad used to be a trader. Now they're both retired and they're in the village.
Enjoying life.
Yeah, so they started doing other things that they love, started going more to the farm and stuff. So I came to Lagos in 2006. That was when I graduated. Okay, I studied electronic engineering in UNN. I didn't make a first class though, but my founder did. You know, my co-founder actually, he did. So, so we started SeamFix in 2007. We graduated in 2006. I actually resigned when I was doing youth service. You know, even though I had to finish my youth service, but that was when I started work before youth service. Worked for 1 year. But when I went to do my youth service and when we were in the camp, you know, there was this restlessness. I just realized I'm not the kind of person that climbs a corporate ladder. I'm the kind of person that builds the ladder and get people to climb. Do you understand? And push people up as much as possible, rather than just sit down and be hoping to climb the ladder. Build as many ladders as possible, get as many people as possible up the ladder. You know, remove poverty, you know, do as much as you can, because I came from a very humble background as well. So we started SeamFix in 2007 and of course, immediately we started, hunger came in. all the people that I discussed with before we started SeamFix, and I asked them for advice, all the advice I got was, don't start. Don't just bother, just you have a good job. Because I started working with a company called SocketWorks when I graduated, and I was a software engineer building solutions for them. So when I made the decision to leave and focus on building SeamFix, actually I had a very interesting experience where we went for a sales opportunity, and I was supposed to be the software person doing the demo. So the guy I went for the sales with, Mr. Dami Bamiro, very great friend of mine, very great guy. So I went with him and I realized he positioned himself as a consultant, and they paid him for consultancy, and then he sold the company solution. So he's a salesperson that gets consultation fee, and I'm like, that's interesting. I love that. I want to do that. So I lobbied to move to the sales team, and ultimately they couldn't move me, so I ended up leaving. Because I wanted to be a salesperson. I didn't want to be a software engineer. Right,
well, how did you find, I mean, you said you grew up in Nsukka. How did you find engineering and software engineering in the first place?
How did I find it?
Yeah, like what was your first experience coding? How was this thing and interest that you picked up?
Okay, so you see, when I was in UNN, when I joined first year, there's this organization called the Opus Dei. They set up a center called Uhere Study Center. So the focus of Uhere Study Center was to form boys. You know, Uhera is for the boys. They have another one for the girls. I think it's called Grindel or something. So the focus was to form for spiritual formation and to teach the boys how to pray, how to walk, because the motto is to walk is to pray. So they will gather us then and teach us. We'll go for clubs, go and play football and stuff like that, go for code camp, work camp. We'll go to clean up houses and stuff. So at some point, they started gathering us together to teach us how to code. So when I entered first year, I joined Information Technology Academy. They founded by then Pius Onabayedo, who is now, I think he's a professor now in Pan-African University, Pan-Atlantic University. So he founded it then, and then he would gather us together, teach us how to code. And then when we were in first year, he structured the program so that from first year to final year, you start coding from your first year. So I found myself in my first year, built a brick game in C language, built a car race in QBasic. In my second year, I built a 16-bit compiler in C language. Then I think that was when we did a lot more work on the brick game because it was having some memory leaks. We concluded it. Then ultimately we went for youth for IT, did more work in terms of understanding what the industry needed, built up our skill set, came back, built our final year project, and then graduated. So when I was in second year, that was when I was doing a lot of final year projects for people. So they will I'll have like 4 different groups that come meet me. I'll just be explaining to them what they need to do and stuff like that. But then when we started SeamFix, eventually, we obviously didn't, okay, well, I think I've answered your question.
Yes.
About how I found it. Engineering was interesting for me because right from childhood, everybody was calling me an engineer. Right from childhood, when I was very young, like maybe 5, 6, 7, we'll go to the village. My grandfather was a bicycle repairer, but people call him engineer. So whenever we come home for Christmas, they will call, is engineer around? I will jump out and say, yes. I'm around. So, you know, I really from that childhood wanted to be an engineer. Yeah. But then ultimately, when I started work, I wanted to now move from just being an engineer to being a business engineer. So somebody that is in the business of tech, not just in the tech of tech. I realized that to make a lot of significant impacts, to get a lot of traction, one needed to pay more attention in the business of tech and to be able to now influence the direction of flow of how things generally get done, influence building up talent, influence opportunities, make a change, solve problems. Because problems, you articulate the solutions to them and then you go engage, you know. So I realized that I wanted to be doing that more because I had gone through a process where I had even built a compiler, you know, in C language. Here's 16-bit compiler, not even 32 bits. That's to tell you it's very old, right? So I had gone through a process where I started with QBasic, this C, did Java, you know, progressed like that, up to the point where we now say, you know what, let's focus on.
So what was the early days of SeamFix like?
Early days of SeamFix was extremely exciting and interesting.
What were you guys doing then?
So we were basically building the base platform that we needed to be using to be building other solutions. You see, when we started, some persons in the industry say, these guys work like horses. They are always very fast. And the real reason was that we built a code delivery mechanism such that all we needed to do was design a model, impute the model into our engine, then the engine spits out the code. So a bulk of the work has been done for you, like 70% of the work has been done. All you now need to do is now to look at the business process logic and just implement it. So literally, myself and my co-founder, we built a complete university campus manager in just 2 nights. All we needed to do was spend 1 full day on the model, agree on the model, design the entire flow, and then put it in that engine that we spent over 8 months building, and then it spits out all the code. So in less than some few hours, the code is ready, and then we now go to do the view layer, design the views. Everything is still controlled by the same framework, and then eventually you do some basic implementation, and then you push out, you know, It was that simple.
So basically what SeamFix was doing at that time was just building tech solutions for other companies.
Okay, so you see, the name SeamFix is from seamless fixing of problems. That is SeamFix, okay? So when we started, there were some things that made us start. There were some burning desires. You see, SeamFix believes that identity is a right, it's not a privilege. SeamFix believes that everybody deserves equal access to opportunities. Everybody. Nobody should be excluded on the basis of their identity or on the basis of where they are born or on the basis of where they are. Nobody should be excluded. Everybody deserves equal access. Everybody. And SeamFix believes that ordinary services should be delivered in extraordinary ways. Very ordinary services should be delivered. So you see, when we looked at where we are coming from, looked at the country, we realized that, hey, there's a lot of problems that needs to be solved, a lot of it. So we didn't exactly set out to be just one product. So we built one product and we're making a difference with just one product. We set out to actually build an organization that solves problems and build a lot of other solutions. So we set out to build leaders in problem solving using technology, if you understand what I mean. So that's what SeamFix set out to do. And to a large extent, I think we have, largely achieved that, and we're still making a lot of significant
In terms of
progress.
achievement, what would you say has been like the key milestones in the last 15 years?
What I think I want to rather do is to focus on the next 10 years.
Let's do both.
Okay. So in 2019, we had some bit of analysis and we said, hey, where do we want to get to? And we said, we analyzed what kind of impact we're making today. We realized that over 350 million persons have been impacted using our solution. We realized that we've built over 500 leaders. We realized that at least close to 1,000 organizations are serviced using our solution. At least they actually wake up daily and sit on our solution and use it to do their work and earn money and actually survive.
And what kind of, what's an example of these solutions?
We've built the SIM registration solution for the telcos, for example. MTN use it, Glo use it. So we have organizations using our Android enrollment solution for the NIMC. We have universities using our solution for transcript digitization and transcript processing. For example, in UNN before, transcript processing used to take upwards of 6 months. Apply for a transcript and you don't even get to know if it will ever ship. But we went to UNN, we took the past 50 years academic record, we digitized it, transcribed everything, and then we put a process portal for people to apply for their transcripts. Because we have a vision of happiness in service delivery, happiness between the person receiving the service and the person delivering the service. So when you apply for a transcript in UNN now, what happens is that you just go online, you apply, you pay, and you receive a tracking number. And then you start tracking when your transcript is delivered. And this happens within less than a week. So from 6 months to less than a week, that is actually problem solving.
Yeah.
And now we started expanding it to other universities. So right now we started trying to get as many universities as possible to come onto the same kind of platform so that we can add way more. So we're delivering a lot of transcripts in that regard. Okay. Also, we have thousands of people getting their SIMs activated daily through our platform for SIM registration with the telcos. We have a telco like Nine Mobile using our mobile device manager to manage over 10,000 devices they have in the field, and there are so many more organizations that can benefit from using that same kind of solution. We have the National Identity Management Commission using our Android enrollment software to manage enrollment into the NIN database. And for that, we had to do a lot of ISO certifications, like we have ISO 27001, 27701. These are on information security and information, personal information management. And for ISO 27701, we are the very first software company in Africa and the second company overall in Africa to get that kind of certification and to also keep it. So we've just been doing a lot of groundwork, a lot of behind-the-scene kind of work. We've not really been out there in the media talking and screaming and being all over the place. So the kind of solutions we deliver are very deep very difficult behind the scenes, but
very infrastructural.
Yes, but to you out there, it looks very simple. We've also built a platform we call Verify.Africa, which is a very ambitious project that we are aggregating all the identity databases in Africa, because we realize that in Africa there is a lot of fragmentation of ID infrastructure. So we're looking at having just one platform across the entire Africa where all the various ID service providers can be plugged to it. So you have driver's database collecting, driver's license collecting fingerprint information, you have the passport collecting information, you have the national ID, which is the foundational database. And of course, on top of the foundational, you need to have a lot of functional databases. So for us is to enable a connection to that entire ecosystem via one API, such that you want to verify any form of identity, you should be able to call and connect to that API. So that's really a lot of the work we've been doing. But for us, we now said, okay, in the next 10 years, what do we want to get to? We said, let's have this big, hairy, audacious goals. Has to be very big, call it BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal. You say by 2030, instead of having
13 or 30?
2030.
30.
We were listed in the London Stock Exchange published the list of companies to inspire Africa in 2019, and they included SeamFix there. It was quite interesting and surprising for us that, you know, somehow that somebody out there noticing that we're doing something. So we say by 2030, we want to have delivered value to at least 1 billion end users.
From 350 million to 1 billion.
Yes. We want to have intentionally built 1,000 leaders, intentionally. And we want to have delivered value to at least 10,000 businesses. When I mean deliver value to 10,000 businesses, we look at SeamFix like an infrastructural kind of company that should have these businesses sit on SeamFix and actually generate revenue on a daily basis. So SeamFix is not that kind of company that typically will build a solution to compete with its partners. It's the kind of company that will build a solution to enable its partners make more money. Like we have a platform that we call Billable, which is being used heavily in Uganda at the moment. And Billable is a revenue management platform, but you see, it's built for partners. So we are not directly engaging, or typically we're not always going out to engage governments to try to get them to use the platform. Basically what we do is empower partners that already consult, that don't have the capability to build those kind of solutions, and build them a solution that they can use to manage those processes. So grow that intentionally and have at least 10,000 of such. Currently, they are not up to 1,000 that we have direct relationship with. But the ones that sit on our platform indirectly, they are over 50,000. So every day we have close to 80,000 agents using our software every day, logging in to use it for one item or the other. So it's actually, the scale of usage is very enormous. Same time, we now want to be very intentional about scaling it and actually delivering the desired kind of impact. Does that make any sense?
It makes a lot of sense. One of the things you mentioned is that you guys have been doing a lot of things behind the scenes, not being very popular. Is that something that you also want to change in the next 10 years?
And
has it been deliberate to just like focus on the work and not on like the media part of it?
Well, I'm a Christian, and there's this saying that you show your faith by your works. And there's this other saying that says that actions speak louder than your voice, right? So we believe in speaking through our deliveries. We believe in speaking through our, so it doesn't mean that we're not interested in speaking more and being more visible. We're actually deliberately taking that into consideration. We're actually doing a lot of work. I mean, me engaging you here is part of, let's get more visible, right? But same time, it doesn't mean that we focus on that at the expense of what is really very important. What is really very important, you need to build talent and deliberately get people out of poverty. You need to get people to understand what needs to be done, get them to grow, even though most of the times they end up leaving you, but at least you still need to, And when they leave you, they make it not personal, but it's personal for you. It's personal for you to train them and build them. But then when they're leaving, it's not personal, but it's okay. So that makes sense. That is important, So you need to focus a lot more on that. So if I have $100, for example, I'm rather going to maybe spend $80 out of it, getting that rework done, not getting into the media for saying, hey, I did this. Because I've noticed a trend where people, you have $100, use 80 to say, hey, I'm going to do this, and use 20 to actually do that, and it doesn't really balance.
Yeah, that makes sense. What would you say has been the biggest challenges that you've dealt with in this 15 years of building SeamFix to where it is today? The
biggest challenge, I think it's not just me that is facing this challenge. I think Africa as a whole, because, well, when I look at SeamFix is no longer just Africa. SeamFix is now a global organization, because we're based in London now, based in Lagos, based in Uganda, and also in the UAE. So SeamFix is no longer just one geography. But when we used to be one geography, the challenge used to be resources. And when I mean resources, it is a combination of both cash resources and human beings, having the right humans. And by the way, we stopped calling human beings resources in SeamFix because we realized that at the end of the day, the reason we do what we do is simply because we do it to build up man. Man is the end in himself. Man is not the means to an end. So since man is the end, then we should recognize and humanize the people. If you notice the SeamFix logo, it was changed at some point. I think it was changed in 2018, 2017-ish. Can't remember when. But that was when we went through a rigorous process of analyzing. Before, our logo kind of suggested that we're like a lab where we build solutions. And that exactly was what SeamFix was at that point. But in our process of evolution, we realized that we need to focus more on humanizing the person. That's when we started focusing more on solutions for the human. We put the human at the center and then build the solutions around the human. So we put the human at the center, identify the human, verify the identity of the human, and offer services to that human. So you humanize that. Anyway, back to the challenges. So on the challenges, I think one of the biggest challenges is actually brain drain. It doesn't help you plan. I mean,
and when you say brain drain, you mean like a lot of talents in Africa?
Talents in Africa live in Africa because we still have our engineering base in Africa. The second one was money challenges. You need a lot of cash to build a company in SeamFix. So SeamFix has grown from my sitting room when I was doing youth service, that we started with 75,000 naira. Then it was, if you convert it, it was like, I think it was around maybe $500 or thereabouts.
75,000 naira, $500.
Then, right now, you know how much it is, but it's still 75,000.
Yeah.
So we started with 75,000, and we've grown organically. Now we do revenue in billions of naira, or in at least multiple millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And we've grown organically from that time till now without taking any investors' fund. We've bootstrapped all the way.
And the company is profitable?
Yes, from day one, we make sure that we generate enough revenue, invest the revenue in the company, and take out some bit of profit. So, because why we do that is that we realize that it is not a sprint, it's a marathon, right? A lot of people that build organizations or that build companies, some of them build to sell. And when you're building to sell, it's a sprint. 1 year, 2 year, 5 year sprint. You just need to get it to grow as much as possible so that you can sell and exit and start another thing.
Yeah.
But when you are building to last, when you're trying to build an institution, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. You must be dogged and you must take your time. You must ensure you put the right structures in place. So in SeamFix, we've tried to put so much structure in place. Try to systematize everything that we do. Anyway, so that's money part where you know you're not running with investors' cash. But now we're having a lot more global solutions. We are now getting to the point where, hey, you know what, we really have to maybe get in some investors to put in some cash, because we are beginning to see how much scale is possible with what we have already built so far. So that even if we choose not to deliver on new opportunities, new solutions, just to scale the sheer volume of solutions that we have built and put it in various markets and dimension it properly, it needs a lot of cash. And it needs a lot of humans, a lot of, a lot of people with the right kind of motivation, with the right kind of incentive to be able to push through and get things done. You know?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, so something I'm wondering is what are the sort of intricacies of doing business the way you do it, right? Because SeamFix is a very B2B company. When you talk about doing work for telcos or universities or NIPS, those are institutions, right? It's the sales cycle is longer. So I'm just wondering things that you can share about just running business. I mean, one of the things you mentioned was that you weren't not just going to tech for tech. You weren't going to tech for the business of tech. And then you said that your customers are going to be these large institutions. What has that experience been like, being able to close those kind of clients?
So you see, the only way to be the best is to play with the best. The only way to, if you want to make big money, you have to do big work. You must do big work. There's nothing like small work for big money. There's nothing like mediocre work for excellent reward. Do you understand? Yeah. Even if you are doing it and getting by, it will catch up with you. So for us, doing business with the big guys, the big companies, and delivering mission-critical solutions is a very big privilege to do business with big organizations like MTN, Glo, Nine Mobile, Airtel, the government. It's very big. Even the banks, we have the banks as customers, very big banks like UBA. It's a very big privilege to do business with these guys. Why? Because these people have well-established processes, well-established structures and systems that guarantee outcomes. So for you to do business with them, it forces you to mature. So SeamFix, in doing business with them, was forced to mature. SeamFix was forced to put processes in place, not out of demand for such processes, but out of the necessity to exist. Because the sheer work, the sheer volume of work that comes from those guys, somebody makes a demand right now, and that demand he's making right now, he expects that since 2 years ago, he deployed the solution for it. Do you understand? Yeah. So as he's asking for it now, he's expecting you to say, hey, I'm done deploying it. Start using it. Things don't work like that in the real life. But that's exactly what it is. The expectation of you is that you are 2 years, 3 years ahead of them in innovation and in ideating that thing and bringing it to life. For you to actually run that kind of organization, for you to build that kind of organization that remains relevant, you have to be ahead. For you to be ahead, you have to mature your processes. You can't be struggling behind it. You can't be trained wrong and be hoping to innovate and get to the next level. Do you understand? It doesn't work that way. So that has been my experience. It forces you to mature. Like in 2015, when MTN got a fine, they got a fine of $5 billion from the Nigerian government. I think then it was 1.4 trillion. After the long process of RFP that they did, they still came back and they selected SeamFix that this is the best company to get it done. And that project is supposed to be an implementation timeline of 6 months. And guess what? We implemented it in 10 days. In 10 days. Wow. For 10 days, I slept in MTN 10th floor. 10 days, I was there with my engineers. There was a 72-hour period that sleep did not cross these eyes. I was there. People will come to work, go home, come to work, go home, then come to work again. Then I'll go with them to go and refresh and still come back. One day I was looking at the screen and I realized my eyes were getting bad and I was like, oh, okay, you know what? I need to actually go and rest. But you see, in that period, we were doing that work so that the company will survive and not change name. So that the fine will not kill the company. So that over 5,000 people that work in that company will not enter the street looking for another work. Do you understand? So that fine doesn't exactly kill them. And when we are done, I think based on the work we did and a combination of other interesting work that they did as an organization as well, the fine was renegotiated, the fine came down. We put a system in place that can check for quality in the field before the customer leaves. We're able to take a picture of person, confirm it meets the ISO standard, do deep image analysis, ensure that the face is actually accurate and is the face of a real human being. So there's a lot of work that we did there implementing that very interesting solution. But you solved the problem, bottom line. And it's a lot of deep engineering kind of work.
Yeah.
It's not like all these simple apps.
It's simple.
That you just deploy
apps.
to just create a unique process to make an ingenious process to make something. I mean, when you look at apps like YouTube that do a lot of AI, do you understand?
Yeah.
YouTube is not that simple. You can't easily build or copy it, you get. So that's it, really.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, the amount of work that you guys have done in 15 years, working with these telcos, working with the government, working with universities, that's massive, and lots of successes as well, right? A lot of money you have made as well. So I'm wondering, like, what are the key mistakes you have probably made in these 15 years that at one point you figured, wow, am I going to kill this company? Or something that you would do differently if you're going to go back and do it again?
Well, I guess whoever is my competition is going to watch this video. If I talk about the key challenges. But if I'm to do things a bit differently, I would start the process of systematizing things that I started late. I would have started it earlier. I would have started I mean, we went through a journey. We were trying to hack it and figure it out. You see, there's really nothing like you go to school, they teach you that thing in school.
Yeah.
We are in school ourselves, we are there in the street, learning what needed to be done and making progress. You see, there was a time when I was in the street doing for business just to make money to actually grow the business. But you see, if I were to do it a bit differently, maybe instead of trying to be a company that solves so many problems, I'll try to maybe just identify just one problem, just one, and solve it very deeply and very vertically. Because SeamFix has so many deep vertical problems that we've solved, you know. So I'm not regretting that. It's actually something extremely exciting and interesting about SeamFix because you never really get bored. There's always something exciting, you know.
Yeah.
So, but if I were to say, you know what, I'm not in SeamFix, which is not going to happen anytime soon, at least from my perspective. So maybe what I will do is find one core vertical problem that I'm going to solve to the very last depth. Go so deep in it and solve it. That's one. Aside putting the right kind of systems in place on time, which we kind of like did, but it's arguable if we did put it in on time. Then I'm also going to continue taking training more seriously. Be extremely deliberate about more training, especially depends on where I'm operating that. I mean, if I'm looking at it from the Africa perspective, brain drain is already going on. It's very, very depressing, but it's there, it's happening. So the way out is to do more trainings. It's just that the attitude of our people doesn't help when you want to do the trainings because they put self first. They don't put training first. They put self first, and this is a bit worrisome. So I would place a lot of emphasis on building people, you know, like we always do. I'll place more emphasis on ensuring that whoever that works with me becomes a leader. Because at the end of the day, you want more leaders in the business. Do you understand?
Yeah. Okay.
So if I were to do it again, I'll also probably try to maybe raise some money because the process of organic growth takes time. But it's not for the faint-hearted, but at least it's a way to start.
Right, yeah.
If you don't have somebody that can give you the cash up front, if you don't have somebody that can invest, maybe you have to go through the organic process, and that guarantees that you have figured out the business. So the day you're asking for cash is easier.
Much easier.
So, but I mean, it's not like anything is bad so far.
Okay. And so my final question now is, what would be your advice to upcoming entrepreneurs, people who want to build businesses like yours or businesses better than yours? I mean, because again, when I was doing the introduction, I mentioned, oh, this is an OG founder. You've done it for a long, 15 years is a long time to be building one company. What's one advice you would give to other people?
So to you that is watching this video, my advice to you would be that you need a lot of energy. That's number one. You need a lot of energy. You see, energy is infectious. When, even like in this interview, or this series of interviews that you do, you would have interacted with people that sap your energy and the people that replenish your energy. So as a founder, you need a lot of energy. You need a lot of faith. You understand? A huge dose of faith. And you need to be able to actually think. You see, the most laborious things for humans to do is to think. And the only way of making progress is to also think. And you see, that quiet time you spend, for me, it's quiet time I spend with the Holy Spirit. But you see, that quiet time you spend thinking, when you spend time just thinking, you're actually creating possibilities, because I recognize that I don't have to get somebody to lose a business so that I can get one. So I'm not competing with you. I don't intend to compete with anybody. What I intend to do is to create. So rather than go after the cake with the, just look at the proverbial pie. Rather than look at the pie and say, what portion of that pie can I get? I would rather say, hey guys, why don't we work to enlarge this pie? Let the pie be bigger so that it can accommodate more persons. Let more persons be able to come in. So you see, if you look at the volume of businesses we have, even tech founders, tech businesses we have in Nigeria, it's not enough. We need an order of magnitude of like 1 million more for Nigerians to start building that level of wealth that is required. So you see, you need more persons. You need more persons trained. You need more. So we need more persons to think. That's what I'm basically saying.
Yeah. And
to think, you need to be able to approach problems creatively. You need to see that this is not a problem, this is actually an opportunity. So as a founder, I'll encourage you to have a huge dose of faith, have a lot of energy, spend time. Spend a lot of time. Block time doing thinking work. Then I'll also advise any founder that, because when you typically start, it's a lot of work. So most times the founder starts, they are here, and money is here, and value is here. Most times when people start, they're aiming at money. And when you aim at money, money becomes elusive. So I advise founders to aim at value.
First.
And when you aim at value, you get money by default. When I was about to take JAM years ago, I went for use of English lesson. Professor S.C. Chota of blessed memory taught me use of English, and he told us that the reason why we are here for him to teach us is not for us to pass use of English in JAM. That the reason why we are here is for us to learn how to speak well. And we're like, okay, so are we still going to pass JAM? He said, because if you speak well, you pass JAM by default. Now, speaking well is here. JAM is here. When you can speak well, you are already operating at a level that is so high away from JAM that you pass it by default. That's exactly what happens when you operate at a value perspective, when you focus on value, not on money. When you are the kind of person that can be entrusted with $1 billion and nothing will go wrong. You have a lot of value that cannot change. Then money comes to you by default. You see, the only way to grow, you founders, the only way to grow is not by pulling things down to your level. It's actually by growing to that level. Because whatever you're looking for is looking for you. Please, do you know that? Whatever you're looking for is looking for you. So whatever it is you're looking for in life is busy looking for you. The only difference is that they cannot come to this version of you. They will come to a modified version of you. So you see a child, that hasn't been able to wash his hands properly. Why will kings bring him in and allow him to eat with them? Is it not when you clean up, wash your hands properly, that the kings will bring you in and say, hey, you know what? Come and join us. So that's exactly what it is. So founders, I encourage you, first transform yourself radically, transform yourself mentally. Stop accepting the status quo. And this one is extremely important. Don't get complacent. Because the moment you make money, most times people just tend to get very complacent. They relax, start looking for the easy life, start misbehaving. Those that have not built value, that have not focused on value, then the only thing you see them do is just misbehave. Scream at people, not respect people, think that they own the workers. No, you have to respect these people. You have to respect them. I mean, they are building something in collaboration with you. They don't work for you, they work with you.
Yeah.
Right? Because people are the end in themselves. They are the end. They are not the means to an end. They are the end. things are for people, not people for things. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So you get people to, you do work so that people will be happy, so that people will go for holiday, so that people will receive benefits.
Yeah.
Not for holidays to be sacrificed so that people would. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So you don't sacrifice people for
first.
things. You sacrifice things
For people.
For people. Now, when you have the right kind of value and the right kind of focus, guess what? At the end of the day, you're going to do things to benefit people, and no matter what happens, whether you have $1 billion or you don't have $1 billion, no matter what happens, you remain constant, you have the same character. And people can say, yes, you can trust that man, you can do business with him. And the biggest businesses I've got are from referrals. You know, people that we've engaged, like one of the biggest customers we have is MTN. And I didn't go out looking for MTN. I mean, I did go out looking for them, but I couldn't get them.
Yeah.
It was until I stopped looking for them that they came. And the day they came, they called me out of the blues to say, hey, you know what, we've got a problem and you have the solution. Come, let's talk. That's it. And it came from a referral of another work that we've already done. Somebody said, you know what, that's the company to work with. Just go talk to them. Stop all this long process, just work with that company. And that's it. And so effectively, when founders focus on value, when founders find time to think, when founders invest a lot in upgrading themselves and refusing to accept the status quo, when founders decide not to be complacent, and when founders decide to do something about the situation they found themselves in. I mean, it's so easy to complain. The easiest thing to do is to complain. That's the easiest thing to do, right? But to find solutions, to proffer the solutions after complaining, that's difficult. And to proffer that solution, you need to think. And thinking, remember, is a laborious process. Just think about it. How can you be able to focus for the next 20 minutes and have nothing else but focus and think about something in particular? If you realize that at the end of the day, if you do that for 20 minutes, you're going to get so hungry. Yes, because your body is going to burn a lot of energy. But then you're going to feel this excitement, this positive aura. You know, you're going to realize that there's something that is not, that wasn't in you, that got into you. You are going to have this positive energy that, hey, you know what, I think it's figured out. Imagine when you figure something out. It hasn't happened, but you know that this is figured out. You're just walking through the reality. So that's also helps you, you know, in terms of making sure that you have faith.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing.
Any other question?
So think, improve yourself. Don't become complacent. Go for value, not money.
And please come to workplace with a lot of energy. Don't be the person that sap energy from people. When you come to work, bring a dose of energy, drop it on the table, infect everybody with it. Because when you infect other people, when you give them a lot of energy, they give you in return. If you deplete your energy bank and nobody is giving you in return, you lose a lot of traction.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that was my last question. Is there anything you wanted me to ask you that I did not ask you? Or something you wanted to share that you didn't get the opportunity to?
Well, when I was coming here, I was coming with an open mind. Just come and you know, just gist. So I wasn't particularly saying, hey, you must ask this question. It's not like this is not like a PR exercise, right?
Yeah, no.
So
it's just conversation.
If it was a PR exercise, I would have had some positionings that I want to make sure that you're putting very well, you know, stuff like that. So I think the conversation has just gone the way it is. Feel free to buzz me up again if you need anything.
I would take you up on that.
Well, but just so you know, SeamFix is set up now in the UK. And
you mentioned Uganda and the UAE and then Nigeria as well.
Oh yes, you know, so my work right now is to ensure that the UK office takes off while not compromising on other setups. So to generally make sure that each of these companies really, you know, that they take off, all part of the same group.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Chimezie, for having this conversation with me. At some point, you started preaching.
Was I?
Yeah. There was a point where you got, I'm like, yeah, it feels like we've entered another realm. But it was very amazing because I've personally learned a lot, and I've just been very inspired just by your journey and also just the value that you shared. So I'm pretty sure that whenever I feel this way, I know that the video will do very well, because I know that people will learn as well, just we have learned. So thank you for
that thing you felt is the energy.
It's the energy. Yeah,
yes.
I get it. Yeah. You definitely dropped it. So thank you so much.
Okay.
And thank you guys for watching this video to the end. Leave your comments, share, and I'll see you on another episode of Founders Connect. Peace out. You can do peace out also.
Peace out. Okay, her name is Peace, and you peace out.
Exactly. All right, guys. Bye.